Hey guys, it's great to have you on today's One More Round show. And I'm super excited because we have the legend of Mark Wright. And Mark is an incredible influential entrepreneur. He's a self-taught digital marketing master. And many of us will know him for winning the BBC The Apprentice. He is the co-director of Climb Online with Lord Sugar. Mark, it's great to have you on the show today. How are you?
I'm very well, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and you've made the effort. You've got a lovely tie.
I know,
and,
look at that.
Yeah, you even shaved.
I look great.
We're all in navy blue.
Is this a video thing? Like, can the audience see me? Is this a video?
Yes,
Okay.
you recorded. We can see you.
Well, that's good. That'll help the ratings go up when they see it.
Yeah, I feel sorry for all the other guests that we have after you, Mark. How are they going to even raise the bar to such a standard?
I know, they should cancel now, because if I knew I was going on after myself, I wouldn't have come.
Great, Mark. Well, what I want to do, I want to jump in, with some questions, I guess, just to draw out of you, because we connected, I don't know, how long's it been, Mark? 2 years, you think?
A long time ago. I just won The Apprentice, and you were one of the first radio interviews I did following my win on the show. So it's been about 2.5 years we've known each other now.
And it was love at first sight, wasn't it? At least for me.
It really was. You loved me, and I took some warming, but I got there in the end. And actually, do you know what? A funny story. You won't remember this, but this is the same tie and suit I had on when you first interviewed me, and I wore it today because of that reason.
Wow,
Aww.
that's pretty special, actually.
I'm emotional.
Very special.
Now, this is my Mark Sephton suit, so feel free.
I'd like to see what you'd wear if we were just having our own meeting then. If that's the Mark Sephton suit, I feel like I should have a...
No comment. No comment.
Okay, Mark, just gonna hit you with some questions, and I guess it's whatever comes to mind first. I always think, it's always good to connect people with a personality and brand. I think that's why, Apple was so successful, because Steve Jobs was at the forefront. I bet you don't know who the director of Sony is, but that isn't one of the questions. But it's just that point of really connecting with people.
Yeah, but it's a good point. And to answer your question, I don't know who the director of Sony is.
No, me neither.
It's actually a fascinating statement when you say that, because when you look at Tesla, you imagine Elon Musk straight away. You think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs, the Virgin, Richard Branson. And most of the big successful companies that have stood the test of time, you can associate with one person. And I also, there's a lot we can draw from that, because if you think of those people, not only are they associated with their brands, they're all very passionate people, and they believe in themselves and in their company so much. And that's why their company's successful, because of that one person's belief in the brand. And I think that's why I always tell people, you've got to believe in what you're doing, and you need to love what you're doing, because if you don't get that company and you don't get that recognition over the long term. Because when it gets hard, and business and life always gets hard, you fail because you haven't got that vision and the passion and the love for the one thing. And that, to me, along with working hard, is the key to success. Loving what you do and working really hard. If you have just those two things, you'll pretty much go all the way.
Very good, Mark. Very good. Totally agree with that. Yeah. Okay, Mark, define yourself in one word.
Sharp.
Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night owl.
Audiobooks or paperback?
Audiobooks all day long.
Where is your heart? Australia or England?
Oh.
We've hit a nerve.
I need to be so careful. It's probably in Singapore, halfway between the two. I can't answer that, because everyone will kill me no matter what the answer is. No comment.
Okay, favorite social media platform?
Twitter.
Lovely. And finally, Mark or Natalie?
Oh. Natalie, no disrespect. I'll have to go with Mark on this one, with regret.
That's just like Lord Sugar then, didn't you?
So Mark, you've won that one.
Good, I'm glad you got me covered, man.
We go too far back, and your name's Mark. I could never let another Mark lose a competition. It's not how I roll.
And do you know what the name Mark means?
I've always told women it means strong, beautiful, and something else. But what do you think it means?
Well, it actually means warrior. It means warlike.
Yeah, I have some socks that say that, Mark, warrior, under them. But it is a bit cheesy when I'm wearing them in a meeting.
Are they your magic socks?
I'm known for, and I'm going to get myself in trouble because I haven't got them on today, but basically I wear colourful socks every day, and I always say happy socks for a happy day. And I always wear, you'll know what mood I am by what socks I'm wearing.
Interesting.
So if you're not wearing socks, Mark, what does that mean?
It means I'm in a playful mood.
Oh, well, I'm sure you've got no socks on right now.
Naked feet. For a naked man. Yeah. This is really digressed.
Okay. Well, I'll get it back on track then. That's fine. I'll be the professional one.
No. You've got this interview to charm my answer. So what you should do is ask me Mark or Natalie at the start, and then after the interview, ask me Mark or Natalie at the end, and then I might have changed my answer.
Yeah, he probably will have. He probably will.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Okay, so when you hear the words "one more round," what do you think? What springs to mind?
Boxing. If it's a word association game, boxing, because I think that a great hero of mine is Muhammad Ali, and I pretty much know everything he ever did and all of his quotes, and a lot of his quotes, obviously, about boxing are very relevant to life and to business. And obviously, the key thing to One More Round and to boxing and to business is most people that we deem successful have gone that extra round to get there, because everyone gets to a certain point and is knocked back. But then there's very few people that are then able to go to that next point. And if we can define what to do when you get that knockback, how to go to the next point, you go one more round and we can help more people become successful.
Okay, brilliant. So from that, can you give us a specific example where you have gone that one more round?
Well, I can give you multiple examples actually, and I think the first one comes when I was very young. I failed at school. I was dyslexic, and I failed all my subjects at school, and I left school with no grades. And I was reading my report from my business studies teacher, and he said in the report that Mark doesn't understand the fundamental principles of business, and he should never get a desk job. And that was his final comments on my business report, which I find quite interesting. I'd like to see his P60 now versus mine. But anyway, that's by the by. I finished that, and all I wanted to do was be a football player. And I got a contract, a one-year football contract, when I left school with a team called Brisbane Olympic. I started playing football, and what happened was I left home to go and work for to play for the football club, and I played for them for 1 year. But because I left home, I went and lived in a share house, and I wasn't eating the right foods. I wasn't training. I was out partying, chasing girls. I wasn't really giving it my full attention. Now, it was my dream to be a football player, but because I wasn't focused, I lost my contract. And when they rang me to tell me that they weren't renewing my contract, that I'd lost it. And it was the last time I can remember properly crying, like full on crying and crying and crying. And I blamed everyone else. Oh, it's because the coach's son is on the team. Oh, it's because of this. Because I made every excuse, where now later when I look back, I really didn't deserve the contract because I didn't try as hard as I needed to. But I lost the contract, and it was a devastating moment in my life because I realized I wasn't going to be a football player. But what I did from that point was really, I cried for a bit. I felt sorry for myself for about a week. And then I got on with it, and I rang up every football club in the roster, and I went and tried out for all of them. And I didn't get selected at any, to be honest. And so what I did is I called the team. This was my strategy that was lowest on the table, the worst one. And I offered to play for them for free, because this was at the top level. I offered to play for them for free, which they accepted. I went and played on them for a 3-game trial for free, and they signed me on a further 1-year deal. I got back into the league, and then the old club that binned me offered me a position to come back after I played 1 season. Then at that point, I decided that I wanted to go into business, not into football, and I left on my own terms. And that's really, people often would think I'd choose to talk about The Apprentice in that time, but to me, that was really when I first discovered I had the fight to do it on myself, with no profile, with no money, and when I really had to turn it around.
Brilliant. And the socks aren't that great anyway, to be fair. Let's be honest.
Exactly. I've never told that story before, ever.
Really?
That's the first time I've ever told it. I always talk about The Apprentice or this or whatever. That's the real story that when I was 18 that happened, that really affected me.
Wow.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. So when things are difficult, and perhaps you have either made a bad call or bad decision, how do you bounce back from that?
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. I think that my dad always said to me, every human makes a mistake once, a fool makes it twice. And he said, and my parents were really good, because they let me do whatever I want, and they let me make a lot of mistakes. And then my dad always said to me, you can make as many mistakes as you want, as long as you make that one mistake. You only make the same one once, and then you learn from it. And I think that that's a really good way to parent, but also run a business, is that you can try lots of things, and as soon as it doesn't work, just take the learn from that, understand why it didn't work, and don't do it again. And it's when I've done something and failed at it twice that I get really upset, because I should know better by that point. So the key thing to your question is understanding why I made the mistake and ensuring it doesn't happen again is how I bounce back.
Brilliant. Interesting. So tell me in the audience something that we all need to know about Mark Wright, apart from socks. We've clarified that one.
Well, I think deep down I'm quite a shy guy, which most people don't understand about me, because when I am speaking or when I'm doing interviewing, I come across quite confident or whatever, but that's from many years of practicing and training and working at it time and time again. I wasn't a confident speaker. I wasn't a very confident person, and it's something that I've refined in my own character, because I thought I'd like to be the guy that's confident and does all of these things. And what I learned is anyone can do it, even me. And I just started by offering to speak at schools for free, and offering to do lots of interviews and things like that. And I just kind of got in there and did it. And not many people know that. People come and say, I'd love to speak like you speak. But I wasn't once how I am now. I had to start, and not many people know that.
Great, thank you. So last question then, who do you know that we should all know and have on One More Round?
Okay, this is another interesting one, actually. I met a fellow called Olli, and he's just started a business for entrepreneurs in London. And basically what he does, which I think would be very interesting, why I like this kid is he's young, he's that's him, yeah. Very young, very enthusiastic, and he's got some really good ideas about business for youngsters, and I found him quite inspiring, and I think he would be a fantastic person to have on your show.
Okay, lovely, Mark. I can
so
organise that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mark. Have you got anything, like one word you may want to just leave with our audience, anything that's come to mind that you feel would be poignant for you to share in the context of One More Round?
One word.
Well, just one thought or one idea.
I think Yeah, I do actually. So for me, I think that people are always coming to these types of podcasts and interviews, and they're looking for inspiration, and they're looking for hints and tips to improve their current position or become successful. And one of the biggest things that I can tell people is, as I said at the start, is find something you're passionate about and work really hard at it. But the next point to finish this whole, tie this thing up, is you need to stay at things, and you need to see things through and turn up every time in life. And coming back to the One Moe Round thing, the best advice I ever got was 90% of success is just turning up. I've had days at work and in business where I thought it was going to go wrong, and I thought I was going to fail, and I thought the business was going to go under. But most people then just stop at that point. If you just keep turning up, just putting on your suit, putting on your clothes, going in and just working the next day, even when you think you can't, you will make it eventually, as long as you keep turning up. And a lot of people think there's some secret to it, but the ones that are successful now just turned up longer than everyone else did.
Amazing. Great.
No worries. Hopefully there's some good stuff there for you and your members.
Definitely. Matt, how do people find out more about you and Climb Online?
Yeah, well, that's nice and easy, because we're at the top of Google, because that's what I do.
I think so.
Basically, just look for Climb Online, which is the name of my company. You can go to climb-online.co.uk and hit us up on email or on the telephone numbers that's there. You can speak to me directly, or you can speak to one of the members of my team.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Cheers,
so
Matt.
Thank much.
You.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Take care.